Determined minds, derailed businesses and a demonetized economy. A tale which currently personifies Prime Minister Modi's biggest economic reform that aims at eradicating black money and promoting a cashless economy. But let's not forget that the government's decision to scrap high-value notes that account for almost 86% of all currency in circulation has impacted a raft of sectors, creating a dent on sales and demand. So, true to their style, marketers have chosen to pull the plug on ad spends to avoid excessive expenditure, in turn leaving the industry in quite a dilemma. But how long before the commercial crisis comes to a close? In a world of brand builders, will this momentary tremble affect many marketers' brand equity? And of course, the conflict points may be known, but the climax is something to be pondered upon. Ronak Shetty raises the decibel levels of a story marketers cannot afford to take a break from.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed.
The United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden.
Some decisions changed the course of the world. They transformed geographies and rewrote history. And the nation that the World Bank forecasted to be the fastest growing economy too, decided to take a leap of faith to principally rehabilitate the country from corruption.
8 नवंबर 2016 की रात्रि को 12 बजे से वर्तमान में जारी 500 रुपए और 1000 रुपए के करेंसी नोट लीगल टेंडर नहीं रहेंगे.
India's third demonetization drive after 1946 and 1978 is amongst the biggest global exercise of its kind. And within 2 months of its introduction, brands across the nation found themselves driving into a pit stop, knocking down ad spends of Q3 quite dramatically. Sectors that have taken the biggest jolt are FMCG, automobile, real estate and jewelry. It's no secret that FMCG accounts for almost 30% of the overall ADEX. But with mounting losses, India's top advertiser, HUL, decided to halve its ad spends and is amongst the many other brands that has decided to revisit its media plans.
I was just speaking to 2 big channels. Mine is one of the big channels, and just on these 2 channels, I just saw the inventory. It's running at 35%, which means in December, as of today, unless things dramatically change, it's running at 35%, means 65% inventory off the table. And I'm told for niche channels, it's even worse. They're running on 15 to 20% inventory.
Consumers have turned frugal, causing a sharp drop in demand for goods and services, making marketers cautious, pulling the plug on ad spends, cancelling ROs, postponing campaigns, hence creating a commercial crisis.
Unfortunately for the advertising industry, the timing was not right because you probably know that the last quarter of the calendar year, October to December, is the festive season. Typically, 35 to 40% of the entire year's spends happen in this period because Diwali is there, other festivals are there, year-end, etc., etc. Fortunately, half of that quarter was over before demonetization happened, but the second half is severely impacted. So if you assume the size of the advertising industry to be about around 50,000 crores, about 40% of that is 20,000 crores, which is typically spent between should have been spent between October to December. Half of it was roughly unaffected, so 10,000 crores is affected. Out of that 10,000 crores, I expect 15 to 20% drop. So which means that advertising as an industry will lose between 1,500 to 2,000 crores in the 6 weeks from the demonetization till the end of the year.
From television point of view, we did not see much degrowth in the month of November, primarily because television business gets locked in right in the front, in the beginning of the month, which saw us protecting our base, frankly. However, maybe if there was any upside, which probably did not come in. Now, gauging that would be very difficult at this time. However, we see a slow start in the month of December, which was expected. Now, post everybody started to come around in the post demonetization scenario. We think that the December will start to pick up post 15th of December.
Overall, we've seen a drop of almost 10% of the total spends that have come down. We are seeing a 23% drop in the month of December. To give you a perspective, total spends on television approximately 20,000 crores, just a very ballpark number, of which if you were to equally divide it across 12 months, you are looking at about 15 to 1600 crores a month. That 1500 crores in the month of November comes down to about 1300 crores, and December you see a further fall to about 1100 crores. So this is a drop, but the numbers are going to bounce back.
With liquidity choking up, this slowdown of sales is inevitable, making brands across sectors vulnerable and under tremendous pressure. And so marketers are doing what they know best, tightening their purses, with the first attack being on ad spends. But for a moment, let's look past the media agency and broadcasters' holy grail, the ad inventory, and focus on the marketer's dilemma. Is limiting your communication model the most justified way to tackle this uncalled for predicament? Industry experts even state that it may seem easy to make up for some of the losses by holding back on advertising. But all that really does is open up the marketplace for companies' most savvy competitors, enabling them to win over consumers they don't currently have. Like in this case, HUL's loss has become Patanjali's gain, given that the latter has chosen to increase its ad spends by twofold.
Now, if you look at the short-term impact, it hasn't been evenly spread across all mediums. So some mediums like television suffered almost immediately, right? Cancellations started happening, clients started holding back release orders, etc., or postponing their spends. Some like digital have actually been less impacted. I won't say not at all impacted, but have relatively been less impacted after the initial few days, have almost come back to where they were. Outdoor is a mixed bag. In some cases it was pretty sudden, and all of a sudden you found vacant hoardings all over, but that again is now starting to come back because the pricing got readjusted. Print got hit quite badly, but then had a little bit of an upside to it because a lot of the financial companies, mobile digital payment companies have started coming back into print because they needed to communicate that.
There is a pressure on agencies who in turn pass on that pressure to us in terms of not being ready to probably push back the campaigns and stuff like that. So that's there. But the issue, as I told you here, is to probably, make even them understand that no, it's not that, we don't want to advertise or we don't want to really promote our brands. The issue is about not doing it so that, you're not generating a demand for which you are not able to supply the product.
A shrinking market will shrink advertising. But let's not forget, consumers still need your company no matter what the economy. According to WPP Group's Center for Research and Development study conducted in 1990, titled Why Advertising Pays in a Recession, Stephen King concluded by saying that virtually all businesses see reduced profit when their market is in recession. But businesses that cut their advertising expenditures in a recessionary period lose no less in terms of profitability than those who actually increase spending by an average of 10%. The BFSI sector, e-commerce portals and mobile wallets have chosen to ride the wave, shooting ad spends and introducing new services to help consumers sail past the current liquidity crunch.
पैसे भेजने हेतु भुगतान करें पर जाएं। लेने वाले का मोबाइल नंबर एवं राशि डालें। बधाई हो, आपके पैसे सफलतापूर्वक भेजे जा चुके हैं।
Another interesting trend that has been adopted by a few and overlooked by the majority has been launching themed campaigns painted with the current flavor of the nation, creating a long-term optimistic position and brand recall during a subdued advertising period.
नोट नहीं तो क्या आना जाना भी नहीं, अब ओला मनी और कार्ड पेमेंट के साथ नहीं रुकेगा इंडिया, कैशलेस चलेगा इंडिया.
Well,
I think I wouldn't call it a missed opportunity, because people would always look at the effectiveness, because end of the day we'll have to see the sustainable profitable growth. So one has to always keep in mind the ratio of its ad spends vis-a-vis its top line, and therefore people would certainly make the best use of the opportunity that's available in order to connect with the consumer and share the value addition that is provided through the products that are being sold.
This is a consumption economy, and a consumption economy depends a lot on psychology and a lot of what the mindset is. And if the government takes initiatives at that point in time which change the mood or the mindset, things will be different. So I am reasonably hopeful that we won't go that path of negativity where there is going to be, as some economists are saying, that there will be a big drop in GDP, consequently there will be a cut in advertising. The numbers are immaterial.
While many have drawn a parallel with the current crisis, comparing it to the 2008 recession, it's imperative to know the key differentiators between 2008 and 2016. Simplistically put, what the economy is tackling today is merely a liquidity crunch, which will normalize once the systems are put in place, unlike the 2008 scenario where the world economy went into a depression.
I think in the immediate and the short term, it is going to impact. The wait and watch is going to impact the industry. There's no question about that. But if you pull back and look at the worst time that I can recall in recent years, 2008, 2009, we thought the world is collapsing. We thought the world will end. The world will no longer be the way it was. Today, how many people even remember that?
While there is no doubt that demonetization may impact growth for a quarter or so, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley claims that the disruption won't last too long, given that GST will finally see the light of day.
The economy is evolving from a developing economy into a developed economy. You can't have 12% of India's GDP in shape of currency. Ideally, developed countries have only about 4%. And therefore, you have to squeeze the amount of currency available. And you need to get people into the habit of using digital, checks, plastic currency, and so on. And I think this is one step which has impacted on the life of every Indian. It will bring ethics, it will bring cleanliness, and it will in every sense help the economy.